Honestly, what a game. What a fucking beautiful game we had. And I'm all here to discuss the beautiful performance we had. And especially, we would be focusing on Adama Traore. Yes, our debutant, Adama Traore, who had a fantastic MOTM level performances. And he was actually awarded the MOTM by Rackman. He was Rackman's MOTM for the match. So, without any further ado, let's begin.
Shakespeare says, "It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, and when it's put that way, it doesn't seem so bad after all."
Adama Traore beat his fist on the Camp Nou turf in frustration after the chance of a goal on his second Barcelona debut had just slipped through his fingers. Around him, the stadium roared their support as the January window loan signing from Wolves quickly got back to his feet and continued to wreak havoc in the Atletico Madrid defense. The former La Masia graduate was making just his second La Liga appearance for his boyhood club more than 8 years after he played for 7 minutes as a substitute in a 4-0 victory against Granada in 2013. He was definitely making the most of the opportunity. Traore had been welcomed back immediately by the Blaugrana faithful with a big cheer inside the opening seconds. With his first touch, he tripped his way past Atletico Madrid left back Mario Hermoso and won a free. He was regularly involved as Barca bossed the early stages, then came even more to fore after Luis Suarez set up Yannick Carrasco to make it 1-0 to the visitors against the run of play. Jordi Alba's spectacular volleyed equalizer came after Adama had beaten Hermoso again, and amid the panic, Atletico could not clear, and Dani Alves found space in the penalty area to cross. A few moments later, Adama once more tricked his way past the hapless Hermoso, with his pinpoint cross to the back post, headed in by youngster Gavi with the help of Atletico's woeful defending. At this point, Traore bestrode the game. Every time he got the ball, adrenaline surged through the stadium. Every touch caused Atletico danger. 1 minute, he was linking with Dani Alves in a 1-2 around the edge of the opposition box. Moments later, sprinting away from Rodrigo De Paul into the center circle and speeding into the Atletico half to the soundtrack of more excitement. News of his debut assist would may have raised eyebrows for any Wolves fans checking in, or Tottenham supporters wondering what they just missed out on last month. It took him just 20 minutes in a Barca shirt to get a tick in that column after 20 Premier League games without providing the final ball for a goal in 2021-22. Traore himself has been well aware of the debate in England over his end product. Such questioning of his final output also goes all the way back to his beginnings at Barca, when through his 11 years at La Masia, some thought he could end up as Alves' long-term replacement at right back. Traore always saw himself as an attacker, and after getting just 4 short appearance in 2 seasons around the senior team, he headed off to England, first for Aston Villa, to show that he could do that. On his return, he has been keen to demonstrate that he can be effective as well as entertaining. Adama knows he can improve a lot in his figures in front of goal, a source told The Athletic after he joined last week. He's working hard on that. Such fussing over the raw numbers also completely misses the point of just how much influence Traore can have in unlocking games by energizing the fans and the teammates, forcing opponents onto the back foot and opening spaces all over the pitch. This was a key reason why Xavi sanctioned Barcelona's move for Traore in January, as the former playmaker was keen to add such a pace and directness as possible to his team. Since his return as coach last November, it is said that around the club, Xavi has been surprised at how opponents like Granada and Mallorca have successfully stopped his team from building moves from the back. This was because opponents felt confident they could aggressively close down Barca's defender as they were not too scared about being caught by the pace of Luke de Jong or Memphis Depay behind them. It also meant midfielders Sergio Busquets, Frankie de Jong, Nico, and Gavi also had less room to work in as teams pushed up the pitch. It was all very different from when Xavi was a player and opponents came to the Camp Nou and sat back and parked the bus. The move for Traore and Ferran Torres from Manchester City was to bring in players who have that pace and directness, but also get Barca's way of playing. Xavi himself said this on Saturday when saying he was happy to have brought in players who understand the style that the club has traditionally used. Traore has the knowledge from his decade of La Masia training sessions. He's aware he is not a natural tiki-taka or like the latest graduates, Gavi and Nico, but also knows that he can be an advantage, particularly now. Xavi is looking for players to break up the play, a source says. Adama has the mix of verticality and Barca DNA. That mix was definitely in evidence back at the Camp Nou on Sunday afternoon. Midway through the first half, Diego Simeone had to react to the damage Traore was doing down the right wing by his technical area. El Cholo changed his team around completely. Carrasco was moved out of the right side attacking role from which he had scored to play at the left wing back to stop Barca's clearly most dangerous player at Atletico's weak link, Hermoso, in acres of space. Being double marked made it more difficult for Traore, but opened up room for his teammates. Barca often had a man extra in midfield, which they made count as goals from Ronald Araujo, and Alves put them 4-1 ahead. Traore himself showed a mature realization of the situation, keeping it simple and moving the ball quickly to allow others in space to do their thing. That worked so well that when he was withdrawn with just an hour gone to allow fellow January arrival Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to make his Barca debut, Traore was given a standing ovation by Barcelona fans. It would be going too far to say that his substitution was the moment the host lost control of the game. If all Barca games are going to be this chaotic and exciting as Sundays, Traore is the ideal player to exploit the space and mayhem. The first hour of play was easily best since Xavi's return to the club or since Lionel Messi left the Camp Nou. The 3 points also lifted Barcelona up into 4th place ahead of Atletico. And on this evidence, they will be back in the Champions League next year. It was a big 90 minutes at the Nou Camp, and Traore was the catalyst.
Shakespeare says, "It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, and when it's put that way, it doesn't seem so bad after all."